Black MAGA. We could talk about Stephen A. Smith's unapology, his apology, but unapology, but I'm just going to play the clip and I'm going to ask you guys the comment.
Have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have. And that's what he articulated.
Nah, you was wrong, Stephen A. You was wrong and right. I'm going to play both sides with this. He was wrong and right. I do know some folks that do claim to relate to Donald Trump since he's, been facing some legal issues, but it is not relatable to black folks as a whole, and he is not being persecuted wrongly. He deserves all the bullshit that's coming his way and more. So I disagree with you, Stephen A. Smith, and then you actually went on to apologize, but then you really kind of didn't apologize. That was a real terrible apology that you pulled off, Stephen A. Smith, and that's just wrong. So I guess I could kind of digress with the rest of these points.
Me in a way I found every bit as insulting and disrespectful as folks in black America evidently felt about what they thought I said.
So let's go back and revisit. Stephen A. Smith has apologized for remarks last week suggesting that Donald Trump was receiving support from the black community because we relate to his legal woes.
A lot of folks in black America seem pretty pissed at me right now. For that, I sincerely apologize.
But it wasn't really an apology.
My words were misconstrued, that my words were taken out of context, misrepresenting and depicting me in a way I found every bit as insulting and disrespectful as folks in black America evidently felt about what they thought I said.
So let's go back and revisit what Smith actually said.
Black folks find him relatable because what he's going through, system and everything else being exercised.
4 criminal indictments.
Figure. We relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have.
It's insulting that Smith seems to compare Trump's 4 criminal indictments and 88 felony charges to the legal attacks on iconic black historical figures. People like Marcus Garvey, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., and Angela Davis, who were targeted by law enforcement because they were fighting for black people. Trump, on the other hand, is facing 2 criminal cases for fighting against black people by trying to throw out millions of black votes in Atlanta, Detroit, Philadelphia, and other cities with large black populations in states he lost in 2020. What's most insulting about Smith's argument is his attempt to equate the legal troubles of a self-proclaimed white billionaire with an army of lawyers assigned to delay his cases to the struggle of ordinary African Americans. Trump's interest in police accountability only applies to himself, which is why he attacked FBI agents for raiding his home in Mar-a-Lago to execute a lawful search warrant, but endorsed Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron after he failed to charge the police officers who shot and killed Breonna Taylor in a botched raid in Louisville. Perhaps Smith forgot that Trump is not the hero fighting against racial profiling and targeting of black people, but the villain who's openly encouraging it, who tear-gassed peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters, threatened to shoot looters on the spot, and encouraged police brutality by telling cops,
"Please don't be too nice."
Or maybe he forgot that Trump's 2020 election scam targeted and endangered the lives of 2 black Fulton County workers, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, who had to go into hiding to protect themselves from his vigilante. Or that his infamous 1989 lynch mob helped to lock up 5 wrongly accused black and brown teenagers in prison for years. Black people will face even greater threats if Trump is elected in November. He promises he will pardon the January 6th insurrectionists,
Indemnify all police officers, and we will bring back a thing called stop and frisk
that unfairly targeted black people. Stephen A. Smith's non-apology apology mentions none of that history or policy. But he does justify his earlier remarks by citing 5 recent polls that show Trump leading Biden. He does not explain that early polls are non-predictive of election outcomes, that black voters have been the most loyal constituency of the Democratic Party, or that Trump received minuscule black support in 2016 and 2020. But even if you believe the polls, Smith citing them as a suggestion that prosecutors should reconsider their cases because of Trump's alleged popularity reflects an abdication of his responsibility as a journalist. All polls indicate that black people overwhelmingly reject Donald Trump. But perhaps more black Americans would appreciate the grave danger he poses if influential black people with popular platforms realize they have a duty to educate, not just to entertain.
And we would like to thank Keith Boykin with that profound message. Black vote, black power. And Stephen A. Smith, you got some work to do, my brother. I heard your apology. Some of it was kind of sincere, but then the rest of it was kind of out of the window. So, work on yourself, brother. I'm still rooting for you, I guess. But yeah, I disagree with you wholeheartedly.